Let us mark these exercises. I will start with the first one, where we have 34 pi squared minus 17. Between the given integers, which is 34 and 17, what factor do they have in common? And it should be the highest common factor. You realize that the highest common factors that 17 and 34 have is actually 17. So you will take 17 out as a common factor. And then when you look at pi, in this case, I will treat that pi as a variable. So when we look for a common variable, it must be the same variable, but we are looking at the highest common exponent. We have pi squared and pi. What is the highest common exponent does pi squared and pi have? Please note that the pi attached to 17 has the highest exponent of 1. We've got an exponent of 1 here, and in that 2, we've got 1 plus 1. So 1 will be the highest common exponent. So we will simply take pi to the exponent of 1 as the highest common exponent. What are we going to be left with in the first term when we take out 17 pi? So we know that our common factor will be 17 pi. You'll realize that the factors, if I was to write 34 as a product of the factor 17, it'll be 17 times 2. So if I take out 17, I'll be left with 2. Okay? So in the first factor, if I take out 17 as a common factor, I'll be left with 2. In the second factor, if I take out 17 as a common factor, I'll be left with 1. Even worse, in the second term, I took out the whole pi as a common factor. Since I take out the whole pi as a common factor, so I'll have 17 pi. In brackets, I'll be left with, for the first term, I'll only be left with 2 pi because I took out 1 pi as a common factor, and I will still have minus. And in the second term, I'll be left with 1 because this whole 17 times pi has been taken out as a common factor. So in brackets, I'll be left with 2 pi minus 1. And 17 will be my common factor. All right, let us look at number 9. Start with integers. In the given integers, what factor or what is the highest factor that the given integers have in common? So when we talk about the given integers, we're talking about all the coefficients here, which is 3, 9, and 33. The highest common factor that they have in common will be, it will be 3. What about the v's? When it comes to v, that's v cubed, that's v squared, that's v cubed. So the highest common exponent will be this 2 over here. So that will be the highest common exponent. So when it comes to the v's, I'll take this v squared as a common factor. When it comes to the a's, let's see, I have a cubed, I have a cubed, I have a cubed. So all of the terms have a cubed. I will simply take out a cubed as a common factor. When it comes to the b's, I have b cubed, I have b cubed, I have b squared. Now this becomes the common factor. When you take out my common factor here, I will simply take out 3 and I'll have v squared a cubed and b squared. So what will I be left with? In the first term, I'll be left with only vb. In the second term, I'll be left with minus 3b. And in the last term, I'll be left with minus 11v. Okay, try number 10. Now you'll realize that the highest common factor that 26 and 13 have is actually 13. And the highest common factor that x to the exponent of 10 and x to the exponent of 7 have is x to the exponent of 7. And the highest common factor that y to the exponent of 5 and y to the exponent of 7 have is y to the exponent of 5. Okay. In this case, please note that in 7, there is 5. So it's 5 plus 2. Okay, that is why we say it is the highest common factor. So in this case, our highest common factor will be 13x to the exponent of 7, y to the exponent of 5. In the first term, we'll be left with 2 to the exponent of 2 multiplied by x to the exponent of 3 plus y squared. Okay. If I were to break this down, basically, it will be in this form, okay? For 26, I have 13 times 2. For x to the exponent of 10, I'll have x to the exponent of 7 times x to the exponent of 2. That's how we got to 10. It's actually not 2, it's 3. That's how we got to 10. This is if I was to split all the factors. And then I'll have y to the exponent of 5, obviously. And then I'll have plus 13. Then when it comes to x, I'll have x to the exponent of 7 here. And then I'll have y to the exponent of 5 times y to the exponent of 2. When we add these two, that will give me 7. Now, if I was to highlight my common factors, so my common factors here will be 13, okay? It'll be this 13. It'll be this x to the exponent of 7. It'll be y to the exponent of 5. This side, it'll be 13. And then it'll be x to the exponent of 7 and y to the exponent of 5. Okay, so that's how you choose your common factors. When it comes to variables, you need to remember that it is the variable that has the highest common exponent. And it's a variable that has the highest common exponent. Obviously, it must be a common variable. It must be the same variable. Okay, and you realize whatever I didn't circle will be left in brackets. That's why here we are left with 2 and x to the exponent of 3, which will give you those 2 times x to the exponent of 3. Here we'll be left with just y squared. That's why I'm just left with y. And obviously in the middle, we still have plus. That's why I'm still left with that plus over there. Okay, try this out. For this one, please note that my highest common factor, because I only have variables, it'll be t to the exponent of 1. It's common between the two given terms, and then I'll have r to the exponent of 8. In the first term, I'll just be left with r, and in the second one, I'll be left with 1 because everything has been taken out as a common factor. For number 12, our highest common factor will have been 3rx squared, and that is because we've got 3's everywhere in all the terms. We've got r everywhere in all the terms. When it comes to x's, it will be a variable, a common variable with the highest common factor. So the highest common factor when it comes to highest common exponent when it comes to a variable, it will be that 2, because in that 3, we do have 2 plus 1. In this 4, we do have 2 times 2. I think I have explained that principle. Not 2 times 2 actually is 2 plus 2. I have explained the principle as to why I say it is the highest common exponent. Because someone might say, since it's the highest common exponent, why aren't we multiplying? It is because when it comes to exponents, when you multiply the bases, you simply add the exponents. So you realize that in 3, we've got the 2, and 4, we've got the 2, and that's why we say that 2 is the highest common exponent between all the given x's in all those terms. Okay, so that's why in the first term, I'm only left with x to the exponent of this 2. In the second term, I'll be left with x to the exponent of this 1. Here, the whole x has been taken out. That's why I'm only left with 3. And that is because if I take this 3 out and I take 3 out, the factors of 9 will be 3 times 3. So if I took 3 out, it means I'm just left with 3. And that is why when it comes to 9, I only am left with that 3 in the third term. Okay, let us go to number 13. What is the highest common factor? When it comes to integers, it looks like 14 is the highest common factor. When it comes to the v's, it looks like v to the exponent of 3 will be the highest common factor. When it comes to the w's, it looks like w to the exponent of 3 will be the highest common factor, because here you will be left with 3 plus 1. So if I take out w to the exponent of 3, I'll be left with w to the exponent of 1. Okay, now if I take 14 here as a common factor, it's 14 times 2. So if I take 14 out, I'll be left with 2. Here I'll be left with, if I take 14, so 28 will be 14 times how much? It is 14 times 2 as well. So if I take out 14, I'll be left with 2. So basically in the first term, I'll only be left with, let me just break this down as well. With that 5, it will be v to the exponent of 3 plus 2. So I'm just going to have 2 over there. And that's why I'll be left with v squared in the first term. In the second term, I'll be left with v to the exponent of 1, because here I'll have v to the exponent of 3 plus 1. So if I take out v to the exponent of 3, I'll be left with 1. Okay, and obviously in the last term, the whole v to the exponent of 3 has been taken out as a common factor. Okay, that is why here, when I take out my common factor, I'll take it out as 14v cubed w cubed. In brackets, I'll be left with v squared plus 2v minus 2w. Let's go to the number 14. The highest common factor here will be 3. When it comes to m's, the highest common factor will be m squared. I'll be left with, in the first term, I'll be left with 1 minus, in the second term, I'll be left with 6m. All right. Please check out the next video. In the next video, we will be busy with finding the highest common bracket.